Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to my City Skylines Let's Play of Bayview Heights. For today, I want to get into our mayor, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and our city planner, Frank Sinclair. They took a poll for the City Skylines Town Common Council, aka my community post, and the vote of 335 votes voted for a new downtown area. So Frank Sinclair highly recommended this area on the waterfront. And so that is exactly what we wanted to build for today. So right now we are in my great city of Bayview Heights, and you can see we have 9 tiles and we bought as many as we could in the area where we wanted to build the downtown. The problem is we did not have enough space. So I am using the City Skylines 81 tiles mod, which you can find on the City Skylines Steam Workshop. And right now you can tell I have every single tile. Yeah, I know that really does help when you're expanding. I tried to stay away from using that mod as best as possible, but this required honestly too much space to build this downtown area. So in order to prepare this downtown, what we needed to do was we needed to plan out exactly how we wanted the layout. So as you can see on the screen in front of you, we do have kind of a peninsula, and that is where I wanted to build the downtown, and then off to the left create a industrial area. So let's get started with this City Skylines downtown layout. So first and foremost, as many of you know, I am not an expert when building interchanges. So when you do, if you're not good like me, what you can do is go to the City Skylines Steam Workshop and grab one off the Steam Workshop like I did. And plus I didn't want to bore you guys with all that, basically I didn't want to bore you guys with creating the, interchange and, whatnot. So what I need to do for the City Skylines downtown layout is we first and foremost need to make sure we keep a highway connection and have multiple connections for the highway, because traffic for high volume and high density commercial is astronomically terrible. So that's why I did add 2 major intersections, and we're gonna have multiple on and off ramps on this highway as we keep growing. So the name of the game when you're thinking of a downtown area is maintaining traffic flow. That is your goal. You want grids, which is, downtown area. You definitely want grids. You want everything very tightly compacted. But when you're building this, a roundabout is definitely a good way to start your downtown area. Again, you don't want your traffic stuck. That is honestly the worst problem to have. If anybody's ever watched City Skylines Biffa, Biffa is a big fan of roundabouts, and definitely for this downtown area, I felt the same way. So what we needed to do after we had the roundabout in place, we needed to create our arterial roads. So the arterial roads are the main roads that these small roads will feed into. Or I should say, definitely the small roads. Wow, that's a brain fart, by the way. So this is going to be our basic layout. We're going to have 3 major roads to get in and around this city. So as I transition to a different part of our City Skylines layout build, what I want to let you know is that I basically created a grid and just a bunch of large rectangles and squares. Now, the reason why I transitioned to that was everybody's seen a basic City Skylines downtown layout. But I wanted to get to this part of the build where I did add the new City Skylines Plaza and Promenades DLC walking paths. So we want to make sure that this city is extremely walkable. The reason behind that is actually very, very simple. The amount of traffic from high density residential and high density commercial is absolutely insane. So that's something to keep in mind. We want everybody to be able to walk everywhere and use, well, obviously right now I am adding more paths, but with tram tracks, but we want people to walk around and use our public transportation. So as you're gonna also see on the screen, it is downtown areas are very, very, very grid-like. So that's just something to keep in mind. So once we have all of our roads and paths in place, what I wanted to do is I wanted to start to bring transportation to our new City Skylines downtown area. And I absolutely love this train station here. I think this it's called an end platform train station. It has multiple train lines that can connect to it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 6 train lines that we can ultimately create. And I think having as many forms of transportation to get in and out of the city will make sure that, enable our traffic to be actually okay. So what I wanted to do here was I wanted to make sure that we put all of our train lines underground. I didn't think we had enough space in just the basic aesthetic of our downtown area. Like, I honestly think that we had to do it like this. I know this is gonna be corny, but I did watch City Skylines CityZilla, and he kind of did something similar. And also City Skylines City Planner Place, he did something very similar as well. So putting these train lines underground is not I'm gonna be honest with you, it is not the end of the world. So the reason why a normal train is really good for your downtown area is actually very, very simple. Trains are very good for long distances. So if we have long distance transportation, it's much, much, much better than using like a metro long distance and stuff like that. The trains are built for distance. So now that we've connected up our train line to like all of our 6 lanes together, what we needed to do was we needed to create a train line going in and out of our downtown area. So what I did was I connected the train line and it followed the highway, and well, we went underneath this giant interchange, but we ended up connecting it to the outside path. Again, I did not want to bore you with that. I'm about showing you everything I did for this downtown, and I did not want to just show that. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm upgrading some of these roads to tram tracks, and then we're adding our second transportation to our City Skyline City. So as we all know, trams need a tram depot, and our other tram depot is on the other side of the town, which is, well, obviously not good. But what we're doing here is we have our own tram depot for our downtown area. So trams are an excellent form of transportation for very short distances. And obviously this is our downtown area, so they're not going very far, to be honest with you. So that I feel like trams are excellent in a downtown or very high density area. So what I'm doing right now is I'm creating the tram lines around the downtown area. Again, like some of these are just placed on paths, some of these are on the actual roads themselves. So I'm creating a clockwise and counterclockwise tram lines to go in and around our city. Now we might be able to expand that later on. I haven't actually done that yet. So remember, I do voiceovers, so I have not gone to that yet. So our third form of transportation, this is why if you go back to my City Skylines public transportation video, which I can link, this is why public transportation and starting it in your city is so important, because when you do have a downtown area, you are going to need all these forms of transportation to get people downtown to your city and in and out and around your city. Because again, the reason why these forms of transportation are so big is because it enables people to not drive there and, not create traffic. So that's, it makes lives a lot easier, but it also saves traffic. And you know what happens with bad traffic? Yeah, bad traffic means people die and whatnot. Anyways, so we do have a complete metro line connection, which is absolutely fantastic. We have actually 2. We have one going clockwise and one going counterclockwise. And guys, as you can see here, I'm adding an underground metro line. I know this is not going to be huge for a lot of you, but I had an issue early on in this series where the underground metro was not showing up. So yeah, so we have a metro line that is completely going downtown. Maybe we'll add one more later on, more towards the entrance of our downtown area. So now that we have 3 forms of transportation in place, what I need to do is I need to actually zone the pedestrian path area. So the reason why we have this is we want people to follow the pedestrian roads, and we want to make sure that, well, essentially all of our buildings will get goods and services. So basically we don't want them to have not enough goods or not, have trash buildup and stuff like that. So that's something we want to avoid. So that's why we're adding, we're adding that district essentially, so that, you can see right in front of you that the metro station is having issues. Well, once we start to play the game, again, here are the service buildings that I was talking about. All of them will be served. So basically we're getting our trash, we're getting our general goods and services. So anyways, now that we have that in place, what we need to do next is I want to create a central park area with a kind of like a cool shape. And what I mean by that is once everything is filled in, we want this path to kind of create a shape that, just makes it look unique. This is kind of like a New York City type central park, which it's not. I'm not going for the central park. I'm just saying that we're trying just to get that kind of a look of symmetry and just, make sure that, we kind of break up the downtown area where it's not so monotonous and it doesn't look the same. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're building your city. Make sure you have a center of town, I guess, or center, like a city center, I should say, not a center of town. We are not a town. This is a downtown. So, but a city center where people can walk around, congregate. Remember, we have a plus sign of City Skylines Plaza and Promenades paths. So that's just something also to keep in mind. So there's going to be a lot of people walking around. I do like this slightly unique design. It's nothing crazy, honestly. Like if you look at it, it's nothing insane, just to be completely honest with you. But what's cool about it is once everything's filled in, it's going to look really cool. And when it's surrounded by skyscrapers, again, it's going to look like Central Park in New York City. And hopefully, if I'm smart enough as a Cities Skylines YouTube content creator, I can actually remember to post a picture of what Central Park looks like. So guys, we're, just adding some of these paths is just an absolutely perfect idea just to change up the look of the city. Again, I know we have pedestrian paths, I know that, but these walking paths also do make a difference. It is a path on path crime, essentially. Oh my God, think about it. We have pedestrian plaza and promenades paths, and then we have normal paths. That is a lot. Wow, that's actually kind of insane if you think about it. So guys, what we're doing over here is we are going to actually build our very first building. Now this is going to be a monument, and the monument, we have a lot of them by the way, but this is the Oppression Office. This looks like the United States Capitol Center or Capitol Building located in Washington, D.C. So what I'm trying to do right here is, this is where things get kind of interesting. We want that straightaway path down the pedestrian road and whatnot, but we couldn't actually get both of these centered. Yeah, watch, you can see it's slightly, oh God, it's slightly off center, but that is the beautiful view that we're going off of. And honestly, I kind of like that view, and it's kind of like the gate, this is our gateway. The St. Louis Arch is the gateway to the West in the United States. Well, this is the gateway to our downtown area. Yeah, I know, that was actually pretty corny. So guys, if you like what you're watching so far, by the way, I am adding a highway connection to the back part of our City Skylines town. But anyways, while I'm adding another highway, a four-way, two-way highway, please make sure you hit that like button if you do feel like you're getting value. If you're not getting value from this, please hit that dislike button, and please let me know what you'd want to change. So anyways, now after I've done that, I begged for subscribers and views and likes. After begging for that, the reason for this highway is pretty simple. We want to get people in and out of our city, and we need multiple ways to get in and out, and we only have one highway connection to get in and out of our part of town. So what I did next was I just added another district with the eco-friendly buildings, commercial buildings, using the City Skylines Green Cities DLC. And what these buildings are going to be is they're going to be very small buildings that will look like shops. And so again, we're trying to create a walking area where, there's people have things to do. I think that was another one of my earlier videos where we added the parks, because we need to make it a more attractive city for people to visit, and they need things to do. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but they definitely need things to do. So we have our, wow, that was ugly road building right there. So right now we are currently filling in some of our grid, and everything is starting to look amazing. Like I said, I added some of the, Green Cities industry, residential and commercial. Now what I'm going to do next is over here, we are adding another district. So guys, make sure you're using your districts, and what I'm adding is the wall-to-wall specialization for high density. So remember, when you're building downtown, a downtown area, you don't want the whole thing to be just a bunch of tall buildings. We want a lot of tall buildings, but we don't want all of them to be a bunch of tall buildings. So that's something to keep in mind. You want what's called depth in your Cities Skylines city. And if you don't have it, it will look, I'm just going to be honest with you, it will look a little weird. So far I'm just filling in some of the residential, and wow, some of that zoning is absolutely pathetic. Well, for the time being, I will leave that there. That was very, very, very odd. I don't know. So anyways, what we're going to do next is we want to actually start this city, and well, not start it, but we want to actually play the game and render the game. We've been on pause this, pretty sure this entire time. So what I'm adding right here are the basic services for the Cities Skylines city. Obviously, you need your medical, you need your police, and then you need your fire station, and then you need, well, obviously your healthcare and your death care. So I just wanted to add all the services to the bottom left. The reason behind that, honestly, is because, well, we have our tram depot and our service stations for the pedestrian roads. So I don't know, it's kind of like a warehouse district, and I do plan on putting commercial in the bottom left of our city. So our downtown area, I should say. So that's just something also to keep in mind, is we will have commercial there. So just adding all of our storage, all of our, maintenance buildings and stuff like that, just to keep it away from our downtown area. So if any of you watch Overcharge Egg, he is the master of building buildings, like not building, but, putting down buildings where you can, they're separate, they're not exactly on top of each other. And I feel like doing that actually creates really, really good depth in our Cities Skylines city. Now, I will say for residential, I plop them all together and I put them as close as possible. Well, that's because in real downtown cities, that's honestly how it works. So now that you saw me piping, we want to build a Cities Skylines cruise ship port. And as you can see on the screen in front of you, a lot of small buildings in the cruise ship port area. If you go around the Caribbean, I guess I should say, this port is in St. Lucia, by the way, which is in the Caribbean. But what you're going to notice here is that when you're building a cruise port, you want everything that's very, very, very walkable. And that's also why I put that city center down there, because we can get guests or tourists. I should not guests, because it is not an amusement park, but we could get tourists that come on these cruise ships, and they'll walk to our downtown and they'll spend a lot of money, and they'll bring a lot to our new Cities Skylines downtown area. And like guys, I'm doing a voiceover, so wait till you see how many freaking cruise ships want to actually come to our downtown area. It's an amazing, amazing amount. So now that we have our cruise ship port in place, as you saw before, I did throw up the screenshot of the St. Lucia port. We need to create shopping essentially. So that is number one. So I should say, wow, that path did not work out. I think we can all agree that path did not work out. Holy cow. Anyways, let's just do a straight line. Like we're gonna, the curve tool. No, that's not gonna work there, Sports Monkey. There you go. Just use the straight line. Anyways, we're going to create a little shopping area with more pedestrian roads. And the reason behind that, again, people in cruise ports, they come to shop. If you don't believe me, check out my travel videos. I've taken 2 cruises And all of the cruise ports, which there's over 20, not 20 of them. I've probably been to over 20 cruise ports, but all of them have basically the same thing, and it's all the shopping and whatnot. So what we'll do next is we'll fill in this cruise ship grid, and we'll get it going. We're going to make sure that people have a reason to visit us. So again, maintain the grid as best as possible. That's honestly what we need to do next. So what I wanted to do was continue the cruise port grid. I know I already mentioned that, but I wanted to use the Cities Skylines Plaza and Promenades paths. Again, we're going to have people, I'm telling you, a ton of people coming off these cruise ships that instead of having them all in cars, we need them to actually legitimately walk to, just legitimately walk to where they need to go in our city. So again, I'm just expanding the grid and just trying to make it look good. But again, just giving them places to walk right off. And I think that is a perfect little grid for our cruise ship port. Now, what we are going to do is make sure that, all right, whoa, I don't know why I did that. Yeah, expand the, yeah, there we go. I was expanding out the plaza and promenade. So make sure that they're able to walk and get resources. So what we're going to do next is we need to actually figure out what we want to build in this area. And what we need to do next also is we have to redistrict this area. So I actually want to dig into this district and we want to add tourism. Now, the reason why we're adding tourism to this part of our build is because, well, tourists enjoy it. Yeah, I know. Common sense sports monkey. Tourists like tourism buildings, but these tourism buildings are going to be from, they're basically built for, tourists and our cruise ship. So now that we have some of our commercial in place, I kind of want to go through what I just mentioned. I actually did not change out the district. So what I'm doing is this is a district. I did not get rid of the pedestrian plaza and promenades paths. I did not do that, but this is going to be creating a brand new district style. So guys, in your city, if you want to change the look of some of your buildings, you can actually use the default style, and you should have different styles depending on what City Skylines content creator packs you have or DLCs you have. But I did change it to a tourism one. Again, I know I mentioned that already, but the tourist buildings are going to bring hotels, shops, and stuff like that where people actually want to visit our cruise port. And again, we have a downtown area where we want people to actually hang out. Yeah, I know that's shocking. So our main center is actually going to have a monument. So right when you get off, so I'm telling you this in real life, if you go to a cruise ship port in the Caribbean, they have that all the time. They actually have like a St. Lucia one. They have one for like St. Kitts. If you're whatever port you're in, for the most part, they have a custom sign that you're able to take pictures in front of. So that's just something to keep in mind. So for this pedestrian area, I did add a couple of the City Skylines Plaza and Promenades parks just to make it, spice it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Just make sure that everything, looks a little bit different. And again, I know we're close to our downtown area where we're going to have skyscrapers, but I did want that cruise ship port to actually have people that want to show up. So what we're going to do next is a little bit of detail. So now that the time lapse is over with, and like, oh my God, look at all of those cruise ships. Holy macaroni and cheese. Holy cow. I told you guys, and look at all the cars coming out of our cruise ship terminal. Holy cow. So that is why I wanted to make sure that our pedestrian area was as utilized, best utilized for those paths, and holy macaroni and cheese. That is a lot. But as you can see here, our city is filling in nicely. I'm not really too upset about that. But what I'm doing next is I'm building an industrial area next to the city. Now you might be like, well, like, why are you doing that? Like, it seems a little odd. Why on earth would you need an industrial area next to your downtown? Well, it's actually really simple. The reason behind that is our downtown area, the commercial buildings and stuff like that, like all of those will need goods. So instead of having the issue of not enough goods, where all of our goods would be coming from the highway itself, like basically all of the trucks would be coming down that roundabout over a highway from our other part of our town. Instead of having that happen, we're going to create our own little industrial area where we'll basically have a self-sufficient city, which is really, really, really cool. I'm very happy about that. So we'll let that fill in. As you can see, it did fill in. I just wanted to do that quickly. All of those cars do eventually, you can see the traffic is bad, but eventually the traffic does subside and it will be okay. Now, the last part of this build is I wanted to do something slightly unique to the city. Like that roundabout by itself is, well, let's be honest with you guys, it's a little ugly. It's not great. But what we're going to do is we're going to fill this in with detailing, and we're going to add these letter logo. It is called Bayview Heights. So we actually need to add, we're actually in the Bayview Heights part. We're actually in the bay. I know that's amazing. So what we'll do is we'll speed this up a little bit, but we are going to create a centerpiece for this roundabout. So now that we sped it up to 3 speeds so you guys don't have to see the exact play-by-play. What I wanted to do is I wanted to add a little bit of height to this sign. The reason behind that is, well, you are entering our city, and you know what? We need to make sure that you're able to see the height. So what I did was I used the level tool, and I did pop up the ground up to about it was about 10 feet, give or take. So what I'm doing next is I want to build a Q wall completely around this because, well, we want to make it look halfway decent. We want to look like we meant to build this monument thing. So once everything got straightened out and I fixed the oval, you can see here that the roundabout is basically filled in roadwise. So what I'm doing next is pretty simple. I'm trying to do the measurements for the roundabout itself, like where we're going to place these letters. So basically all of the letters we are using, we do want to make sure that it's centered and it doesn't look like we just winged it and just didn't know what we were doing. But what we're going to do next is we did add a little bit of detailing around, and we added the Bayview Heights sign. We added a couple rocks and trees around it. This is us showing off what Bayview Heights is all about. And well, I guess Bayview Heights is apparently about rocks and trees and just some white letters. But I feel like the white letters in general, they make everything look really, really good. And I do like the bushes and stuff like that, the overgrowths and stuff like that, because, it's probably hard to cut lawn up there. Honestly, let's be honest, guys. It's hard to get up there and cut the lawn. But what I wanted to do next was I wanted to add something special to this area. And as I'm searching for it, you could tell I'm struggling. So what I wanted to add was basically the water fountain. So I didn't want to add a lake of water because, well, the lakes, honestly, you have to refill them or you have to use the water pump and it floods everything. I'm not about that flood life. So what I did was I added the large pools, and I'm adding these water jets just to add a little bit of a nice touch. I mean, this is not the Bellagio in Las Vegas by any means, but I think it's just something cool and unique to our city where you have Bayview Heights and everything. It's just a really cool way to enter our city, and I'm very, very, very proud of that fact. So guys, now let's get into just reviewing what we did here at Bayview Heights. Here's the end result. So I did add the Cities Skylines Common Council did allow me to add City Skylines skyscrapers from the content creator pack. But then you could also see here, I did expand out our high density even though it's not high density, even more so in this area. As you can see in front of you, I did use the Cities Skylines Brooklyn and Queens content creator packs. You can see here, I do have the skyscrapers that I mentioned. You can see here the depth of this area downtown area is really nice. I do like it. Here is our cruise ship area, our cruise ship terminal. You can see the hotels and high rises built in, which is really nice. You know, the big buildings, the shopping you can see here, the pedestrian paths, everything filled in really, really nicely in this area. I do love the fact that we have tons and tons of people walking around all the time, and it's amazing. It honestly really is. Like, look at all these people, all these little shops. Like, those two shops in front of you are the example of what a cruise ship port is all about. Having those small shops, souvenir shops, restaurants, just places where, you know, you can actually celebrate where you're visiting in the cruise port area. And again, we do have some ways to go, but I do love also the wall-to-wall specialization. Obviously, it's kind of like the Brooklyn and Queens content creator pack, where these high density buildings are not like towering. Like, you know, we want depth to come out of our downtown area, and that's exactly what we got. So over here, again, here is the Brooklyn and Queens DLC. Like, some of these buildings do look a little bit different because, well, you know, like there's a vast difference between wall to wall and the Brooklyn and Queens content creator pack. But overall, I think everything turned out really, really, really nicely. As you can see, we do have some nice angles of the city. Like, the depth of the downtown buildings look absolutely fantastic. That might be screenshot. That might be thumbnail worthy right there. So honestly, I think, you know, our mayor, Ryan Fitzpatrick, has to be very happy with the way this turned out. As you can see here, you can see that I did add another cargo harbor, and then I did expand out our industry a little bit because we had a huge demand. Did add a highway on and off ramp towards you know, for our, you know, industrial area, because traffic was getting heavy off that roundabout. So just to alleviate some of that traffic, I added that highway on and off ramp. Very, I'm gonna say very, very busy port, honestly, but this was needed to fulfill our, you know, goods for the downtown area. So this was absolutely 100% needed. So now let's go into some of the detailing that I did do. So here was our Central Park area. You know, as you could see here, wow, I don't know why I clicked the bulldozer, but you can see here, this is kind of like our Central Park area. I did add trees. I did add, you know, the City Skylines eco-friendly buildings, and they just look amazing. Like, I know, okay, the one downfall will honestly be that there's parking lots on some of those buildings, but that's something that I could not actually get rid of. But isn't it amazing? All the people walking downtown. You can see our oppression center. Now, I did add a parking lot in front of the oppression center. I do want to get rid of that. In the comment section below, if you're still watching, what should I add there? I honestly do not love the parking lots there. I hate it. I just filled it in just to make it look halfway decent. So, you know, overall though, you can see the detailing of the oppression center. We do have fountains going. We do have some trees, rocks, detailing. Like, overall, like, that water fountain looks really cool. I really do like that in the background. Wow. If only the front of the oppression center looked a lot better. Like, holy cow. Like, that's absolutely insane. Like, ugh. But what do you guys think? Please leave a comment in the comment section below. Like, what did you think of this downtown area? I think overall it turned out really, really, really nicely. I'm happy with the way it turned out. I like the depth of our buildings. Using the Green Cities high-rise buildings was also something that I really enjoyed. Then lastly, I did add another highway entrance from our main part of our city. Well, that was because we wanted to alleviate some of the traffic in this area. So that's just something to keep in mind. Also, is make sure you have multiple highway entrances on top of all of our forms of transportation around the city. So thank you guys for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.